People will listen, Tommy. They'll find our podcast on Apple or Spotify. They'll subscribe and download it as innocent as children, longing for the past. Of course, we won't mind if you listen, you'll say. Follow us on social media too, at SeenItPod. People will listen, Tommy. People will most definitely listen. Field of Dreams, coming up next. Haven't Seen It with Tim Sestito and Tommy Tevenay. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you all so much for listening today. This is a podcast where one of us is watching a movie for the very first time, and today that person is Tommy. Shame on you, Tommy. Like Field of Dreams too, man. Just another one. Just another
No,
dagger right in the heart.
all the sports movies. That's what we're finding out is that you don't know horror and I don't know sports movies. So that's what we're figuring out throughout this podcast.
Yeah, next month it's just going to be you listing classic horror movie after classic horror
Yeah.
movie. You really haven't seen this, Tim? What the hell, man?
Oh yeah, even though you're building our schedule now, we're still figuring it out. Where it's like, come on, you haven't seen this one?
Yeah, and I mean, listen, this is a great end of the month stretch for baseball as well collectively. Aaron Judge is on the Yankees. He has 60 home runs on the season. 61 will tie Roger Maris, which some people claim to be the home run record in a single season because everybody else that went on it was on steroids. You have the Mets and the Braves playing in a really tight division race. And if you've followed my personal Twitter account at Fire R Manfred and you're like, oh, like this guy has some good movie takes. I wonder if he tweets more about them. You'll be very pleasantly surprised at the fact that I exclusively tweet about the Mets pretty much
Yeah,
on that account.
our podcast Twitter is just where we get all of our movie takes out, and then everything else for our personal accounts is just whatever. For you, it's just strictly baseball, constantly.
It's strictly baseball, but
So
but Zendaya did say in Spider-Man Whichever Way Home that she really feels like the Mets are going to go all the way this year, and I happen to agree. I happen to agree.
it's the sign. So Timmy, I have a real question for you though. So is your baseball tradition? We did the Sandlot back in April. Is your tradition almost every year opening season you watch Sandlot to get ready, then you watch Field of Dreams at the end of the season just to get in the mood for the end of the season?
Well, typically the Mets are usually out of it by the end of the season, just historically speaking. So I'm usually
Yeah.
a little less enfranchised with baseball as a whole
Yeah.
by that point because they've usually pulled some really dumb shit that just makes you want to pull your hair out.
By September, you're like, what are the Giants up to? Let's watch football instead.
Yeah, well, that's another sad story that we don't really need to cover. Although they've been okay. They've been okay to start this season. We'll see. They're not the Jets, at least.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I don't watch football anymore. Being a Jets fan just kind of just killed my spirit.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So this is Field of Dreams.
Extraordinary words for a movie that no words can capture. Newsweek calls Field of Dreams a magical and moving ride. So perfect it's like a miracle, says Roger Ebert.
Are you a ghost?
Kevin Costner scores again with a wonderful performance, says Pat Collins. And Gene Shalit calls Field of Dreams a masterwork of wonderment.
Is this heaven?
Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams. Rated PG. Now playing in select areas. Starts tomorrow at theaters everywhere.
So this is Field of Dreams. It's the movie that defined Kevin Costner as a baseball icon. It's the movie that made people realize Darth Vader is actually James Earl Jones. It's the movie that Major League Baseball tried to reap on its popularity a mere 35 years or so after its release, because MLB is a horribly run organization, and Rob Manfred is a gigantic hack fraud. Field of Dreams, everybody!
Is this going to be like your fuck our Manfield, Rob Manfield, whatever the fuck his name is?
Rob Manfred is the commissioner of Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And if this wasn't a movie podcast and I went on my 40-minute tangent that I could very easily go on, I could fix baseball and I could make it I could increase revenues. I could grow the sport.
Just derail the pod right there. Just a 40-minute uninterrupted monologue where I try and get a word in, and you just speak over me the whole time. You're like, no, Tommy, I'm not done here. Baseball still needs to be fixed.
Well, when we were doing the Sandlot one, I started to go off of it, and I remember texting you when I was editing it, being like, "Yeah, I have to chop like 3 or 4 minutes of this off. Like this is going too long, and it ultimately has nothing to do with the movie."
Yeah, we're learning how to talk about baseball more, or getting yourself restrained a little bit more.
You're learning how to understand the fundamentals of the sport, and I'm learning how to not take it completely off the rails.
Yeah.
So, Tommy, are you aware that there is a Field of Dreams game now?
I'm aware. I did read the Wikipedia page for Field of Dreams, so it was right on there. They performed it like back in August, most recently.
Yeah, so they started it in last year, and it was like an excellent game. You had the Yankees and the White Sox because they're trying to get the teams that were actually around in that era to play in it because they have the old uniforms they can make and stuff like that. And last year's was one of the best baseball games of the year. Like it peaked top viewership. It was awesome. And then this year it was the Cubs and the Reds, and both those teams are terrible. And the game stunk, and nobody watched it, and nobody cared. It feels like one of those things they're going to try to do it every year and realize, oh, it was really special that one time, but every time you try to do it here and after, less and less so.
Well, I know that Kevin Costner came out for the game last year, like the first one. Did he come out this year, or is he just like, I'm good?
No, well, you can't do it with him every year. This year they had Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr., and they had like a bunch of dads and sons actors throwing first. It wasn't as cool as the Kevin Costner. Like that clip was awesome of him standing in the field, and he just like looks out into the cornfield, and then all the players walk out. That was awesome. That was really awesome. But not to get derailed down Baseball Avenue. Tommy, what was your first impressions of Field of Dreams?
My first impressions was I can't stop crying right now. This movie is a really sentimental movie, but in the best ways. I mean, it tugs on the heartstrings, but it feels very earnest in that sense, and it's very character driven in that moment. There's two reasons why I never saw this movie. One, I was never interested in baseball, and two, I'm not going to go deep into this, but as someone who's lost their father, this movie is not exactly the first movie that came to my mind about let me watch a fun movie about a guy getting over his dead dad. So, right in there, I was like, but overall, I like this movie a lot. And, I've seen this twice now in the past month, and, still hits those emotional beats, and they still work. And this movie's great.
Was any of it spoiled for you going in, like specifically the ending? Because I know that's been pop culture.
Well, yeah, that's the one thing I knew about this movie. I knew that it was just the end of the movie featured Kevin Costner playing catch of his dad, and that was why I probably for the past 6 or 7 years I've avoided this movie because I was like, I don't need to see that right now.
Yeah, that would not be. Yeah, that could be. It's a tough scene to watch, but it's so beautiful. It's so poignant.
Yeah,
it's hard. So, I just finished watching it for the however manyth time because this was on for me on repeat as a kid, and I've seen it a couple times as an adult. Always hits. This is the next iteration of it, and man, you're tearing up at the end of the movie without question.
There's no shot you're not. The first time I watched this movie was last month at our friend's house, him in his basement, and we're a couple of beers deep wherever, and we're watching the movie, and our friend, he's also lost his father too, unfortunately. So we're watching the end of the movie, and it's just us. I'm trying my best not to weep, but we both can't help it. We're just fucking just weeping our fucking eyes out. We're just fucking just full on sobbing and everything. And then today I made the smart decision to watch this movie at work, which could have gone disastrously long, because you don't want to watch a movie that makes you cry at work, because then your boss is going to be like, why are your eyes so red? So thankfully I was able to hold myself back during the final scene, because at this time I knew it was coming. I knew what the moment was going to be like. So I was like, you're not going to cry, Tommy, right now. You're not going to cry. You tried your best, and I didn't get there. So
I mean, when he's like, because he calls him John the entire time, and he just goes, Dad,
yeah,
can we have a catch? Like were you doing everything in your power in that moment to just not be like,
yeah,
it's just allergies, it's turning into fall.
Exactly. But it's like, so glad that my first watch of this movie wasn't at work, because then I would have just been like, oh my God, thank God I have my own.
You would have shut the door, shut the blinds on your office, just being like,
Just like I'm gonna go for a walk. So there's two movies that made me cry at work, and both are documentaries, and one I'm embarrassed to admit because this happened last week. The
What
first
was the
one,
documentary?
the first one, which was a Roger Ebert documentary I watched last year, and it really goes into the last like days of Roger Ebert's life, and it's really sad. And the second one was
King
a
of Kong.
No, it's even more embarrassing than that. Last week I watched a Kevin Smith documentary, and when it goes into his heart attack, I started fucking like bawling my eyes out, and I literally had to get up and be like, "I have to go for a walk."
I know he had the heart attack. And if you're a
Yeah.
Kevin Smith fan, that's tough. How was Clerks 3?
Clerks 3. Speaking of crying, I mean that movie is probably the least comedic of all the Clerks movies, but it was the most emotional, where it really hit the emotional beats in a way that like I never expected to get choked up during a Clerks movie, but here I was in the theater getting choked up over a Clerks movie. So I mean, if you like Kevin Smith, go see it. If you don't like Kevin Smith, this won't change anything. So
I'll probably check it out when it gets back at home.
Yeah.
The first thing I want to mention, because this was just huge to me on this rewatch, was James Horner doing the score and just creating that ghostly,
Mhm.
otherworldly feeling that built suspense, that nice melodramatic piano, the dun, dun, dun,
It's
dun,
almost
dun.
like every time the piano kicked in, like you want it just tug at your heartstrings. It was just almost like after a deeply emotional line or something like, oh, like James Earl Jones saying this is, your penance or whatever, or like, other lines like that, where it was just like, and even when he says we want to play catch dad, like right after that, you hear the piano tunes. It's just like, oh God, movie, please.
I
Um,
also when he drops off Terrence Mann and he turns the car around and he's just standing in the lights and then the dun,
Mhm.
dun, 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 dun. I was like, yes, yes, like the score
yeah,
was giving me
it's
goosebumps as well.
it's powerful as hell. Even in the beginning of the movie, the opening of the movie, which is like the title card of him going through his life and talking about his dad. Even when watching it today, like it got me emotional just hearing the score right there in the beginning opening scene. It's just really powerful music, and it's shocking that this didn't win best original score. It lost to the Little Mermaid, but I mean, the Little Mermaid in terms of like songs are great, but I can't remember the score of that movie.
Yeah, but the Little Mermaid, from what I remember, was kind of like Disney's big return after like a
Mhm.
really messy 80s.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably part of it. Because this is a movie that revolves around nostalgia
Mhm.
and issues with your father. Disney does. I guess there's probably people with Disney issues with their father, but I imagine for a lot of Academy voters, Disney probably hit home for them at some point in their life.
For the
So
score, score totally makes sense. That like they lost to Disney there for Little Mermaid. This lost Best Picture though to Driving Miss Daisy, and woof.
yeah, yeah, Driving Miss Daisy was very much the Oscar bait at the time. But
Mhm.
I did want to mention, because the movie does revolve around the relationship with the father and the catch, and it's very interesting to hear what Ray says to Terrence Mann when they're driving home. They pick up Archie Graham. It's really nice to get an understanding of why he lost touch with his father.
It's funny the way he described towns, finding you a job so that you could play on their team. They haven't done that for years. My dad did that for a while, but that was in the 20s.
What happened to your father?
He never made it as a ball player, so he tried to get his son to make it for him. By the time I was 10, playing baseball, I got to be like eating vegetables or taking out the garbage. So when I was 14, I started to refuse. You believe that? American boy refusing to have a catch with his father?
Why at 14?
That's when I read The Boat Rocker by Terrence Mann.
Oh, God.
Never played catch with him again.
You see, that's the kind of crap people always try to lay on me. It's not my fault you wouldn't play catch with your father.
I know. Anyway, when I was 17, I packed my things, said something awful, and left. After a while, I wanted to come home, but I didn't know how. Made it back to the funeral.
There's a follow-up sequence after where Terrence tells Ray that this is his penance, that he is doing this specifically to make up for the sins of not finding closure with his father before he passed. And it's just a really powerful moment, and it kind of draws the heartstrings of the movie because it's such a wacky movie. It is a wacky movie. Like, all you need to do to fully engross yourself in Field of Dreams is you have to believe at the beginning. That's all you need.
Yeah.
When you first hear, if you build it, he will come, and you buy in, you're gonna have a great time. If you're like the brother that doesn't see, that doesn't believe, you're gonna be like, why are you building a baseball field into a cornfield in Iowa?
What's great about the movie is that they don't really take the time to like over explain what's happening here. You know, you could have seen like a terrible version of this movie where there's like a 5-minute scene where like Shoeless Joe Jackson explains like, oh yeah, we came down from heaven and God told us like we can do this. But no, we don't need that explanation right there. This is happening. And you know, this is it's really just a conduit to him to open up and, you know, deal with the fact that he never got closure with his father. It really just hits the emotional beats right there in that scene with James Earl Jones, and it just really just drives home the message of this film.
Yeah, and this movie's funnier than I think people give it credit for. It's a drama, it's not a comedy, but it has like those nice moments of levity, like when he first meets James Earl Jones and he puts the finger gun in his pocket, being like, all right, you're coming with me, and he's like, what's that there? He's like, that's your finger in your pocket. He's like, no, it's a gun. And he's like, well, I'm gonna take this crowbar and I'm gonna beat you within an inch of your pulp of your life.
What's really funny about James Earl Jones, this movie, is that in the novel this is based on a novel called Shoeless Joe by author W.P. Kinsella. And in the novel, Terrence Mann was actually J.D. Salinger, the guy who wrote Catcher in the Rye and, you know, the famous author of the 20th century. And his lawyers, J.D. Salinger's lawyers, said they would be very unhappy if the story were to be transferred to other media because he was deeply offended by his portrayal in the book. So they quickly came up with the character of Terrence Mann instead to take it. But you can see the kind of points because J.D. Salinger is known as a recluse author right here. You can kind of see like the little parallels right there. And even James Earl Jones based his performance off the famous author.
Yeah, and you just change it into a 60s author who wrote about the turbulent times, wrote about pacifism. That's all you needed to do, because like what Terrence Mann wrote about isn't really the point of the movie. The point of the movie is that Terrence Mann lost something that when the Dodgers left Brooklyn and moved to Los Angeles, he lost a part of his dream. And that's why he's included on this ride with Ray and ultimately goes with him. When he walks into the cornfield, he tells Ray finally that interview you read, I actually did do it. And Ray's so mad at him. He's like, what do you mean you lied to me? He's like, well, you were trying to take me hostage. You had a finger in your pocket as a gun. He's like, all right, that's fair.
Yeah. So James Earl Jones just gives a great, like, commanding performance right there. I mean, the type of thing we always see from him. So it's always great to see him pop up. And it's funny how, you know, the connections between this and Sandlot, where he shows up in Sandlot, Art LaFleur shows up in Sandlot. It's just like, if you have a great baseball movie, apparently you need these two actors.
Well, Kevin Costner is also a great baseball actor. And I want to share with you a little bit of gossip.
Okay.
That's most likely not true.
Yeah. So get it out there right there.
Getting it out of the way, but it's a very famous conspiracy theory in baseball. So Kevin Costner had a long-term friendship with Cal Ripken Jr. If you don't know who Cal Ripken Jr. is, he was the shortstop for the Baltimore Orioles, Hall of Famer. But his big record that he broke Lou Gehrig's Ironman streak at 2,461 consecutive games played. Now there's 162 games in a baseball season, so it's a lot of games, and he set the record in 1998. It was 2,632 games. Sorry, I knew it was 26 something.
Yeah, we need the exact stats here, Timmy.
No, I know you're a big statistics guy, Tommy. And the year before that, in 1997, the Baltimore Orioles had to cancel a game out of the blue, like a couple of hours before game time because of power issues. And the rumor is that Kevin Costner was staying at Cal Ripken Jr.'s house and had an affair with his wife. And either Costner or Ripken, either physically or emotionally, couldn't play the next day because of the confrontation he had with Costner, because Ripken then ended up going through a divorce. Now, of course, both men have said, "Oh, of course, that's not what happened," but it's very odd that like you don't hear of a baseball game being canceled because of a power outage, and it was obviously just to protect Cal Ripken's streak. But
Can you imagine?
that's the gossip. There's a great video on SB Nation. I think they're secret base now, how they kept the streak alive and if this was part of it. Because when something that suspicious happens and it's very clearly just to preserve a record, it makes you wonder what actually happened, because he played the next game. It wasn't like he was injured long term. Very clearly something happened.
Yeah, well, how far away is he from like reaching the Iron Man streak at that point? I mean,
Probably within 100 to 200 games, like very close.
yeah. You can only imagine if like, you know, if he got like fucking like a cold or something like that randomly, or something, or just very sick, or just like, come on, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he would like Lou Gehrig famously played with the flu. Like Lou Gehrig played until he got diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah.
When he like couldn't play anymore. That was the first time he stopped his streak. So there's people that question whether Cal's streak was legitimate, but put it this way, he played in either 162 or 161, depending on how many games they played, from 1983 to 1998.
Damn.
Which
So
I don't know if you're aware, Tommy, that's actually a lot of baseball games.
That's a lot of baseball games, but I feel like if any sport to do a streak like that, baseball probably be the easiest of the major four.
What are you talking about? You have to play every day.
Well, think about it this way: if like football or basketball or like fucking hockey, you can get hit like very, 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 very fucking hard. Those are more contact sports than baseball is.
Tommy, you can get hit in the head with a 95-mile-per-hour fastball.
Yeah, but like, what are the chances of that happening compared to like fucking football? If you get tackled or whatever, like you get fucked up right there.
It happens a lot, and you know it's very easy because baseball is a game of grace and serenity, and it is. It's a very graceful. It's a very graceful sport. No, but guys get. No, but like guys.
I got on a tangent.
Guys will pull their hamstring just running to first base. Like nobody's even close in the games played category. Like it's Gehrig and Cal Ripken and nobody else. It is like you're saying like, oh yeah, nobody's going to hit 2,600 games in one of those sports because they don't play the number of games in baseball. But most guys tend to have to take 3 to 4 games off at least a season, if not 10 or so, just because of the nicks and bruises of the season, because it's relentless. It's played every day.
Yeah. All right. I got you on the baseball tangent right there. I got you on the rant.
I get that baseball is not as physical as other sports, but it does happen. Just saying, there's just as many ways to get injured in baseball.
You had to get that out there.
As there is in any other sport. It just doesn't look as gruesome.
Yeah. All right. I'll give you that. Baseball, I guess you can get injured in baseball too.
Yeah. Yes, you can.
To finish your right there. So this is a preview of Tim's spin-off baseball podcast that's going to happen someday.
Don't tempt me with a good time, Tommy.
So
we should talk about the movie, right?
Yeah. So back to Field of Dreams, a movie about baseball, baseball itself. So this is a question I wanted to ask you, Timmy. Is Amy Madigan the most supportive wife of all of film history?
She has to be up there. She is just a true ride or die.
Yeah, seriously.
Ride or die.
There's there's almost like one point where she's briefly like, "Oh, come on, like you shouldn't go to Boston. This is getting ridiculous." And she's like, "I had a dream about that too." And it's like, "I'm gonna pack your bag. Fuck it, I'm in." There's no point where like you can almost see the point of the movie where like we don't need that, but like the wife being like, "Come on, you really gotta focus on the farm right here," and then just be like, "All right."
I think the movie needs the wife to kind of be in on it, because like it's building towards the suspense of his father. I think that's the other really good thing. Like the first time you see it, like you know there's something that happens with the father, but you don't know what. But it's not like dragged out throughout the entire movie. Like when Ray is constantly asked, like, who is he doing this for? What is it for? He thinks it's for Shoeless Joe Jackson. He doesn't get the connection that it's going to end up being his father at the end. And it makes for like a really nice emotional surprise because he's just as surprised as the audience is when that moment happens.
Mhm. So I mean, just having Amy in there, I mean, she was amazing in this movie. I love that one little scene she had in the PTA meeting where talking about over the book burnings and being like, "Oh, you're just a fucking like Nazi over here." She was just very charismatic as like a wife character, and like it could have been an easily thankless role, but she was probably one of the most memorable and stand-up parts of the movie.
She was ready to throw hands with the Karen that was calling for all these books to be burnt.
Yeah, so it was a great little exposition dump of explaining who like Terrence Mann was, but in the same point, you also got a character moment of, just showing like the values of the wife of like how like she's really like committed to this, and she's just like about follow your dreams and stuff like that.
Very committed, very emotional, very driven. I love the line where she's like, I don't think you really lived the 60s. I think you got two 50s and made it to the 70s. And Ray's just sitting there like doodling on his book, like eases pain, like trying to figure it out. And he's like, "It's Terrence Mann."
You gotta figure that's like what the typical like PTA meeting is, that she's just like getting a fight into like the random Karen of the week, and then just Kevin Costner's in his own little world that's like not fucking paying attention at all, just week after week, where it's like, "Oh, honey, who'd you call a Nazi this week? I forget."
Yeah, I bet that happens more and more now than we probably realize.
God, yeah, that was one thing I wrote down in my notes for this, where I was like, it sucks that book burnings are still a thing that we have to deal with all the time. There's always gonna be some Karen out there that cares too much about something.
Well, what can you do about that? Except talk more about Field of Dreams, obviously. There is a
Yeah.
very, very, very famous monologue that
Mhm.
I want to share with all of you. Because it's the people will come monologue. And it rocks so hard.
Ray, people will come, Ray. They'll come to Iowa for reasons they can't even fathom. They'll turn up your driveway, not knowing for sure why they're doing it. They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past. Of course, we won't mind if you look around, you'll say. It's only $20 per person. They'll pass over the money without even thinking about it. For it is money they have and peace they like.
Ray, just sign the papers.
And they'll walk out to the bleachers. Sit in shirt sleeves on a perfect afternoon. They'll find they have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines, where they sat when they were children and cheered their heroes. And they'll watch the game, and it'll be as if they'd dipped themselves in magic waters. The memories will be so thick, they'll have to brush them away from their faces.
Ray, when the bank opens in the morning, they'll foreclose.
People will come, Ray.
You're broke, Ray. You sell now or you lose everything.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
So I just love that scene. It describes baseball perfectly. It is eternal. And no matter how much things change, it's there. It's being played pretty much the same way as it's always been played. I'm not getting down another baseball rabbit hole.
Yeah, as you go into another 5-hour podcast about the rule changes of baseball over the last 120 years.
Don't tempt me with a good time. But Ray Liotta plays Shoeless Joe Jackson,
Mhm.
one of the famous members of the 1919 White Sox. Tommy, what do you know of the 1919 White Sox?
So the first time I think I was introduced to the concept of them was in The Great Gatsby, the one from 10 years ago, the Baz Luhrmann one.
So
So
you were introduced to the concept of them? They were a real
as
team.
no, as in like I was aware of the hit. I was made aware of the history because of a fucking Baz Luhrmann movie. So there you go. Again, we're just showing how much I don't know about baseball. This is what this podcast is.
Well, speaking of Baz Luhrmann, did you know that Fat Tom Hanks managed Elvis 60 years ago?
So actually, Tom Hanks was originally considered for the role of Ray here.
He would have been
So
great. He would have been just as good.
he could have easily hit this just as well as Kevin Costner did. So that's my great way of segueing back to the film. But the Chicago White Sox, I mean, what they like fixed the game, the World Series because of the owners weren't really paying them that well, and they were all banned from the sport, all 8 of them. And then I saw, you're probably gonna love this part. I saw that Rob Manfield apparently looked at this back in like 2015.
Manfred.
So Manfred, sorry.
It's okay.
He looked at this back in 2015. It was still just like, I still would have banned them.
No, I mean, listen, they deserve to be banned. It's
Yeah.
especially with gambling becoming a bigger component in pro sports. Like it has to be taken serious.
Yeah.
The one thing is with Shoeless Joe Jackson was that guy couldn't read, he couldn't write. All he knew how to do was hit and play baseball. So a lot of the conspiracy about it too is that Shoeless Joe didn't really know what he was signing up for, and like he played really well in that World Series anyway. But when the news came out, it created a lot of mistrust into baseball itself. The popularity diminished very quickly in the early 1920s. That's when Mountain Landis became commissioner, and the rise of Babe Ruth is actually really what saved the sport because he was such like a doll with the paparazzi and the media, and he played up into it and played into the act that it really helped grow the sport.
It's really kind of tragic what happened to like Shoeless Joe Jackson because this is right in the first thing in the trivia Field of Dreams right here, where he makes a joke in the movie about Ty Cobb being like, none of us could stand this son of a bitch when he was alive, so we told him to stick it. But in real life, they were actually really close friends, and apparently in Jackson's later life, he ran a liquor store in South Carolina, and Cobb stopped there to buy a bourbon. During the sale, Jackson made no sign of recognition to Cobb until Cobb finally said, "For God's sakes, Joe, don't you remember me?" And Jackson somberly replied, "Well, sure, I remember you, Ty. I just didn't think anyone wanted to remember me anymore." So
yeah,
it was just a man that was just broken by this one thing that he did like 20, 30 years ago,
Yeah, it definitely broke him. I mean, there's rumors that he tried to get back into baseball under various different names. The one accuracy they didn't get right is that Shoeless Joe Jackson was kind of notorious for not being a good-looking guy, and then you have like very young Ray Liotta with like his piercing blue eyes playing him. He does a great job. It's like it's a spiritual performance, so it's just very like he plays that like whimsicality into the performance, which I think it really enhances the performance because they're real, but they're ghosts. Like it's so unclear of what they are.
Well, wasn't what's it called? Shoeless Joe Jackson also like from the South or something? Wasn't he like a Southern guy and not like Ray Liotta and his like Brooklyn accent or whatever?
Yeah, he was from Greensville, South Carolina. He probably would have also thrown a lot more slurs around, but
obviously, we don't need
that I'm not worried about.
Yeah, we don't need to have an exact 100% historical representation because this movie, I mean, like we said, they don't explain it. For all we know, this could just be Kevin Costner having a dream about his father.
Yeah, and that's kind of the beauty of it. And that's like the beauty of the adventure is that he's going on this adventure and you're almost thinking it's like to justify the creation of the cornfield. But as we've kind of been saying, it's ultimately to reconnect and bury the hatchet with his father. I really think this movie is one of the greatest baseball movies ever made. Tommy, how many baseball movies have you seen?
Oh fuck! You're putting me on the spot right here. So
Sandlot and this.
Sandlot on this, I know. I don't know if I've seen it all the way through, but I've seen at least like parts of Angels in the Outfield because they used to play that in elementary school a lot. I've seen parts of Moneyball, but not all the way through. Yeah, so
Oh,
basically this is just Timmy just like trying to like pitch like feature baseball movies we're gonna cover on the pod because I haven't seen any of them.
we got Bull Durham to look forward to. The
Yeah,
Natural,
the
Eight Men
Natural, never
Out.
seen that. Never saw Eight Man Out. I never saw Ed. I don't think we're gonna cover that one though. We're not gonna cover the chimpanzee one. I always gotta reference that. We're talking about baseball movies.
You speak for yourself.
uh
This is a
fucking
Matt. This is a Matt LeBlanc podcast.
well, I mean, I can't watch any chimpanzee movies after watching Nope because I'm scared of fucking chimpanzees now. Thanks, Jordan Peele.
Really, you dingbat.
I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm a horror movie buff, but that scene for some reason in Nope. I mean, I won't get into spoilers, but a chimpanzee attacks people, and for some reason, I had to sleep with the lights on that night, and like for at least like another night too. For some reason, it wasn't like fucking Freddy Krueger killing people or Chucky or like whatever random slashers I watch. It was the goddamn chimpanzee going to a haywire, and that was what triggered me.
Yeah, you
So-
watch a lot. You watch a lot of crap, Tommy. I don't know. I don't. I don't know.
That's a whole other tangent. So
Whole other tangent.
I am a star. I'm a star, I'm a star, I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
So, Tommy, who is the star of this movie? Because I think there's three fantastic performances. You have Kevin Costner, you have James Earl Jones, and you have Amy Madigan, who really carry this movie, like raise the driving force. But Annie is the heart and the soul and the spunk of the relationship. And James Earl Jones is a man that had lost any like any reason to live really outside of just working his days and doing what he needs to do to just get through the next day. Like I loved when they were in the bar and they were interviewing and when they went to Minnesota for Archie Moonlight Graham and he goes to the bar and he's interviewing people and getting like all these little tidbits about the doctor and like you just see like the light smile on his face and he's just like, yeah, I wouldn't know that. And like just him becoming reindoctrinated with human beings and realizing that there is more than just being a recluse.
yeah, I think that James Earl Jones has a lot of the more emotional beats. But if I had to pick like the star, I mean, it's Kevin Costner. I mean, when people think about this movie, they think of the catch in the end of the movie. Hey, Dad, you want to play catch? That's what breaks your heart, and in a heartwarming way. He really carries this movie because a lot of this movie is just him like driving around Boston or wherever. There's some parts of that, and it's still just very compelling. You're still wanting to watch it. You're not really bored by him just building the field or like staying on the field, realizing there's like someone whispering to him. So he really sells it. You really buy this guy is really just, believing everything that's happening.
Hey, I love those scenes when he's in Boston and he's asking the guy who's unloading the truck, being like, he's actually one of a friend of mine. He's like, yeah, if he was that good of a friend of yours, he'd probably have given you the actual address. He's like, huh, yeah, you're right. And he ends up just paying the kid over there for the like one of the mechanics for the address. It's great.
Yeah.
This rewatch made me realize how this movie really blends its humors together. Like it has just enough moments of levity to not make it so stern and like dour.
Yeah.
Because it is such a lighthearted concept. Like this guy builds a baseball field in Iowa, and yet you don't expect your heart to completely melt by the end.
What's like last week when we were talking about the perks of being a wallflower, how that had no levity really whatsoever. And for this movie, I mean, there's still plenty of moments of humor. I mean, even the daughter, who I didn't think was the best actress. I mean, she has some lines that make you laugh. What shocked me about the kid actor is that did you watch the Winning Time, the Lakers show that came out on HBO? She was in that. She was like one of the main characters. She was Claire Rothman, John C. Reilly's like head accountant, essentially.
Oh, really? Oh, shit, that was her? Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
So
that.
it's crazy because you think of kid actors sometimes where like, obviously they're not the best actors. And I remember the kid from Jerry Maguire recently had an interview where he said he had to go to acting classes when he became an adult because he realized he sucked as an actor. But, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And for this person, what's her name? Gabby Hoffman. I mean, she now is a great actress.
I'm glad for her. Yeah, she was fantastic in Winning Time. And yeah, I mean, Ray Liotta is also great. Burt Lancaster as Archie Moonlight Graham. Like, how could you not love Doc Moonlight?
God, that one line he says where it's just like, I thought there'd be other days, but turns out that was the last day. That just really hit me this time. Where it's just like, oh God, that's just, you know.
And when Ray's pleading with him to come, and he's like, I can offer you your dream, like I have it here. And he's like, it's a tragedy that you never got to fulfill it. He goes, no, the real tragedy would have been me not being a doctor. That would have been the real tragedy of my life. And then you see that come to fruition when Karen's choking on the hot dog, and you have it's so good when he runs to the etching of the line, and like he realizes once you make this crossover, there's no going back. And you see steps one leg, the other leg, and now he's old man Graham. And it was just so good. And then you see what's his name, Mark, who he was good. He was a nice little comedy of just being like, Ray, you gotta sell the farm. It was a Timothy Busfield being like, you gotta sell the farm, Ray.
You really need that one character that was just like not on Kevin Costner's bullshit, because I mean, it's good that Amy Madigan wasn't that character, but I did like that they appreciated one guy to be like, God, you're crazy here. What are you doing here? Why are you trying to like build a baseball field here? Come on.
If Amy Madigan wasn't on his side, like they would have gotten divorced.
It would have been a very, very different movie. She's like, I'm taking the kids to my mom's or something like that. And like, it's just a depressing ass movie where Kevin Costner like has to win back his family by showing, no, I'm not crazy. I mean, you're going to hate me for saying this, but when I was watching this today, I was like, you could see like the YouTube re-edit of like this being a horror movie or something like that, where he goes crazy because of like if you build it, they'll come.
You get next month. You get all of next month. Get your crap out of here, Tom.
Hey! This is a very good gateway into October because this is about ghosts. So
spooky season is coming. Spooky season's
near. It's right around the corner.
I mean, it's definitely already sprung for you, but it's coming around for everybody else.
Yeah. Come on, Tommy. Not everyone else is obsessed. So, but yeah.
So also, I was reading here that they don't know who exactly the voice is in the field, and
in the credits they just said like the voice as himself.
So the rumors are that some people believe that it's either Costner or Liotta, but the book's author, W.P. Kinsella, says he was told that it was Ed Harris, who was Amy Madigan's husband. I don't know if they're still married, but he was.
Yeah, they are.
They are. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad to hear that. Also, teenage Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were extras in the Fenway scene.
So the director right here, I don't think we really mentioned him, director and screenwriter, Phil Alden Robinson. He also directed The Sum of All Fears. And apparently when Affleck first like went to the set, he's like, hey, it's nice to work with you again. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I was an extra in Field of Dreams.
That's pretty funny that he was just like, so he's obviously not going to remember some teenage extra being like looking like he just looks at him like, and actually kind of fits with the theme of the movie too. Like you just hear the piano, like he looks at Damon and Affleck being like, I think they're going to do something someday. Yeah, no, that moment didn't happen in real life. But it's just funny that all these little connections just kind of find their way into this movie. And Alden Robinson does a good job in this movie. It's so story driven and it's so emotional that he's able to cultivate it. I don't think he does anything incredible with like the cinematography or the filmmaking in and of itself.
Only real shot that I think is like really great from cinematography standpoint is the end scene where it just pans out. So
yeah,
I mean,
and you see all the cars lining up. That's
apparently that was 1,500 cars. They had extras from the like wherever they filmed in Iowa to like go, and like literally 1,500 people went out and just like so long just to get at that.
That makes sense. And I yeah, like that ending with the sun setting too, like it's so beautiful. But I don't think there's anything that screams like he should have been best director or anything like that. I just think it's such a tight script and it's so emotional, and he was able to bring all of that out effectively that he did his job, and it didn't need any kind of creative filmmaking to make the movie stand out in any other kind of way.
I think the highlights here were like the script and the performances, and obviously the score, which we touched on. So I mean, directing's not really, this isn't going to be your greatest director ever.
No, it did not need to have like a Kubrick behind it.
Are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
Tommy, would Field of Dreams work as a Muppet adaptation?
I can't imagine like a Muppet tearjerker. So like what, like Kermit at the end, or like who was Kermit's like kid or something like that? Remember?
Oh yeah, he's like a junior or something like that. Like, no, it would be Kermit, and then you just have to have like Waldorf be the dad, right? Like,
Well, no, Waldorf would be like the doctor probably, or I can even see like James Earl, being the James Earl Jones character.
no,
like
James
a
Earl
recluse.
Jones is the human.
Okay, yeah, keep James Earl Jones. Kevin Costner's obviously Kermit. Miss Piggy
And
couldn't really. I couldn't imagine Miss Piggy being Amy Madigan, because Miss Piggy would be like, Kermit, you're a fucking idiot.
sorry, yeah, she's acting it out. She'd be like, "Oh, Kermit, I have the
Kermit.
same dream." Kermit.
Yeah. But yeah, the end of the scene is just Waldorf and Kermit just, hey dad, you wanna play catch?
Yeah, just mocking him completely as they throw the balls. And then you could have Fozzie be Mark as Annie's brother, just being like, "I'm Waka Waka, you got to sell the farm."
Come on, kid.
Yeah, I don't
I
think it would work, but I kind of want to see Muppets play baseball.
I'm thinking of like Pepe the Prawn as the brother character.
That could work. That would work too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably
Overall,
would-
no.
Overall, no. Me being curious and wanting to see Muppets, watching marionettes figure out how to make Muppets play baseball. Yes, 100%. Review time, Tommy. Give me a
Okay.
score out of 5.
So I've seen this movie now twice in the past month. This movie obviously hits the emotional beats very well. The performances are all great. Like we said before, directing really wasn't like really a standout, but it didn't really detract from the movie overall. And that final scene, I mean, if you don't cry at the end of that final scene, then you don't have a heart. So I'm going to give this 4.5 out of 5. So this is a really great movie, really great emotional movie. And even if you're not a fan of baseball like I am, you're still going to find a lot of stuff to love with this movie.
I'm going to echo your sentiments here. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. It's one of the greatest baseball movies ever made. It's so respectful of the game's past, and the people will come speech just perfectly illustrates the beauty of the game and why it's been around for now 150 some odd years. It's been a part of American life for so long, and I have a very hard time seeing it go away. That's the end of the baseball stuff. The performances are fantastic. The score is so haunting and deep, and it's rich, and it hits the notes at the right time, exactly where you want to hear them. And the screenplay is it's so tight, and it's just all you need to do is believe, and you're going to be hooked on Field of Dreams. 4.5 out of 5. All right, Tommy, any final thoughts?
All right. So thank you guys all for listening. You can follow us on social media at Seen It Pod. That's on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Leave us 5-star reviews on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. And next month is Spooktober, October, horror movies galore. Timmy would probably prefer if we did a 10-hour podcast on Ken Burns' baseball. But
have you ever seen Ken Burns' baseball?
I have not, so that is on the table, but not for October, unfortunately.
Can I torture you? Make you watch 10 hours of Ken Burns baseball?
Is that how long it is? Is like a 12-hour like?
I think it's broken up into like 10 episodes or something like that.
That just becomes like a whole month or two of us just like covering each different hour of Ken Burns baseball. And
don't tempt me with a good time here, Tommy. I've watched that multiple times. I love that documentary.
All right, well, eventually I'll get to it. So, but next month we're going to be covering a bunch of good horror movies. I think next week we're going to be covering what? Hocus Pocus is the first one.
I think scheduled to be determined, but it's Hocus Pocus is one of them as a quick little teaser.
Yeah, so get ready.
Get ready. So, spooky season's around the corner. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you next time.